Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to connect with you all and help you make the most of your Relay for Life Facebook groups. My name is Dominic Casuccio, and I'm the Regional Integrated Marketing Director in the Southeast region. I'll be guiding you through this training along with my co-trainer, Brooklyn Carroll, who is a social media marketing volunteer with the Relay for Life of Southampton Roads. And she'll be giving us the volunteer perspective on each of our agenda items tonight. To start, Relay for Life Facebook groups are a powerful tool to engage your community, spread awareness, and increase participation. Whether you're new to managing a group or looking for fresh strategies, this session is designed to equip you with our best practices, creative ideas, and real-world solutions to make your Facebook group a thriving hub for your event. So let's get started. And here's the who's who. So you can see Brooklyn on the call as well, and myself. And then, of course, we have Amanda Darling-Thompson, your strategic director, on the call, as well as my counterpart, Melanie McCullough, who's located in Raleigh, and she's an integrated marketing director as well. And she'll be handling questions. So questions will be available in the chat feature for tonight's call, and we'll be covering each of our agenda sections, and then I'll be asking for questions as we go through tonight's training. So what's on the agenda? We're going to talk about understanding the purpose of our groups, setting up and managing the group, engaging with our community, promoting your group and growing membership, and then measuring our success and best practices. And then we'll wrap up with any last questions. So let's talk about what's the purpose of a Facebook group. So they are such an important tool for your local Relay for Life. And unlike Facebook pages, which are great for public outreach, groups allow for deeper engagement and conversation within your local Relay community. And you see here on this slide, we have a lot of pages, and that's what many of you have used in the past to promote your Relay for Life event. And those pages were created long ago, most likely, when we did not have the option of groups within Facebook. So now we have a much better option and solution for us to really engage with our communities. And not that we're not doing pages, but those pages are reserved for our national pages. So we have one for the American Cancer Society, Relay for Life, Making Strides. We also have state pages, so one for Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, etc. Every state has a state page, and those really serve as a hub for our general posts, and they also house all of our event groups. So anybody within a state can go to their state page and look at the event groups and find the group that matches their community and ask to join that group. And of course, like we said earlier, groups really serve as a communications hub for each of our events within the community. They help us build community connections, and they really foster engagement within our community. So I'm going to toss this to Brooklyn now. And Brooklyn, what has been your biggest challenge or success so far?
Hi, everyone. To start, I'm going to actually begin with the challenges. I think one of the biggest challenges, thank you. I think one of the biggest challenges for us kind of came from the page group debate when the page went away. At that time, our relay, I'm not sure about the rest of yours, our relay, most people were following that page. We did have a group at the same time, but no one was really following it. So when we lost our page, we lost a lot of followers, which was a big issue for us. And I'll kind of give a little bit of pointers on how to build your group up later, because that's something we had to overcome. Our second challenge is that Facebook pages typically have greater reach than Facebook groups, meaning that our post would get to more people would see our posts. But you have to think that just because more people see our posts doesn't necessarily mean that they care about our posts. And so in some sense, the Facebook group is actually great for us and for all relays, because we don't necessarily need a greater audience, but we need to reach an audience who cares about what we're posting, and that's the people that follow our group. So that's something we've also overcome. It's just an adjustment, and it's been going well so far. For successes, we've actually had such greater engagement in our group than we did in the page. Because again, more people that follow us on our group are actually interested in our content. So more people are engaging with our posts. So that's very exciting to see. And then a personal success of mine for managing the Facebook group is learning the importance of Facebook events through the group. And that's also something that I was going to talk on more later. And that's all.
Thank you. Melanie, I'm looking at the chat too. I don't see any questions right out, so I think we're good to move forward. So let's talk on our next subject, which is setting up and managing Facebook groups. And so many of our Facebook groups have already been created. We used the past year to go through and create groups for most, if not all, of our active Relay for Life events, and as well as our Making Strides events. So most events do have an established group. Um, if it is not, then hopefully I want to go through these tips just to make sure, and you as a moderator or an admin can also go through and make sure that your group is set up correctly. Um, First, let's talk about naming conventions. So, as we most of our events are Relay for Life of, and then your community name. So all of the established Facebook groups have been named. We ask that you do not change this name, but to always consult with your ACS staff partner if you would like to change the name of your group. Another great option with Facebook groups is to have an easy URL. So we have a naming convention of facebook.com/groups, and then it's typically RFL, the community name, and then state abbreviation. So I um, gave an example of Relay for Life Atlanta GA here as an example. One thing to note is once your group has more than 5,000 members, you won't be able to customize your address again. So you can customize it through multiple times until you reach that 500 or 5,000 member threshold, and then you won't be able to change it. Another great way to customize your group is to update the cover photo and your description. So I put an example of one of the great photos that I love from the Tacoma Relay for Life that our photography team took at that event. So I have a lot of general photography, or you can use something custom. It's really easy to create something in Canva and customize. So I've seen many groups have added their event name, their event date, they've added sponsor logos. So you can definitely get creative. And then I put, for convenience, I put the size 1640 pixels wide by 156 pixels tall is the size. So all of Facebook cover photos, Facebook group photos, event photos, they're all different sizes. So it's really important to create something that's going to fit into that full space when someone's looking at it on their phone or on their computer screen. Another great way to update your group is through the group description. And I recommend using a general description. And what I've been, as we've been setting up groups over the past year, we've just been using the description that's actually from the Relay for Life websites, and that's on the next slide. I've seen many go in and update it with their event date and you definitely can do that. It's just really important to remember to check and update that description every year to make sure it has current information within that description, because that is something that Facebook uses to market and promote your Facebook group. So, and they pull that description. So that is one marketing tool that it's going to have a lot of eyes on it. So it's really important to update it. But I put in here the sample description, and this is right from relayforlife.org website. So I'm sure you all are familiar with it. So most of the groups out there that we've created has this description built in already. So another thing that we want to talk about is having a public group versus a private group. And that was something that we selected as to keeping your group public when we set up your group initially. Keeping a group public really allows people to see the updates and the event details in all of the information without actually having to join the group. So there's a low barrier for them to get information. So if they're just really checking for event details or an upcoming fundraiser, they can go to your group, still get the information, and they'll actually have to join the group if that's not something that they're interested in. One thing to note is you, as an admin, you can transition a public group to a private group. And once it is transitioned to a private group, it cannot go back to public. So we ask that you keep all of our groups for all of our events public so that people can actively participate in those posts, in those groups. So there's two different roles within groups. So of course, you can just join the group as a member. But there's two roles that really we want to talk about today with you all is admins versus moderators. So admins really oversee all of the settings. They set up the group, they can approve posts, and they can approve members to join if that's something that's required within the settings. And they can also manage the rules. And we're going to talk about rules in a second. Moderators are really the individuals that really help answer questions, that encourage discussions, and they also can monitor content, and they can also monitor and moderate content that is not allowed within the group. So sometimes we do get spam posts, or we do get individuals that are trying to promote something that's not attached to Relay for Life, or the event, or the American Cancer Society. So moderators, it's really important role for them to go in and moderate those posts so they're not available in the group. And that's where it comes up to having the rules. So all of our groups currently have a set of rules, and I put them all up here for us to take a look at. And it's really important when you can moderate a group, you actually can remove the content, and then it will send a message to that person that posted that information, and you can select which rule they actually broke or went against when you're moderating that post. So, of course, the purpose of the group, what we encourage, sharing fundraising ideas, celebrating each other. We encourage everyone to ask questions, to get advice, ideas, and support. We do have some guidelines. There's no promotions or personal fundraising. That's really self-promotion. So I know everyone's going to be posting about the different fundraisers that they're going to have, and those are definitely allowed. But it's not, we don't want everyone just posting within the group to sponsor them individually is what we're trying to avoid with this guideline. Of course, always respecting others. This is a safe space, no profanity, bullying, or hate speech. And this is an important one. A lot of people do post seeking medical advice or technical content, and it's important for us to just thank them for posting and then to ask them to either call our 24/7 helpline or to visit cancer.org to find that information. So none of us are giving any medical or technical advice within our groups. It's really important to stay focused on the event and our community. And of course, we always acknowledge our admins do have the right to remove posts and members that do not follow these guidelines. So these are really important for us to help moderate the content within our group and make sure it's a good, safe space for everyone. So now to Brooklyn. What benefits have you noticed having a public Facebook group?
Yeah, so public Facebook groups, if you could go to the next slide, please. They're very user-friendly for both group members and admin, which is especially great for our technology-adverse friends out there. I'm actually not super great with technology either, so it's everyone. So one of our greatest features of having a Facebook group, just in general, not necessarily public, but having a Facebook group is that any group member could create a post. And I think this is amazing because not all, if you're just running a page, not everyone could post. And with our groups, running a successful Facebook group, when members are able to post, it creates more of a sense of community. And when members ask questions, other members respond, ELT responds, and it just makes it seem more so that everyone has a voice, which I think is a great part of a Facebook group, just that everyone can become involved. And so this is a side note, as people on ELT or a group admin of your Facebook group, if you do see someone who is not on ELT who does make a post in your group, make sure to comment or like or heart this post. It just shows that you guys are paying attention, that we are paying attention, that we appreciate that they're posting in our group, that they're making content, willing to reach out and become part of our community. So yeah, make sure you engage with anything that we do not create specifically, just to encourage others to post as well. I also think for specifically to public Facebook groups, they're great for our needs because our content, kind of what Dom was talking about, our content's openly accessible to anyone on Facebook. So it's great, especially for on the left. That's one of our events we created for, let me see, I think it's a winter fundraiser. And Tracy, in my example from my relay, she shared this group event post that I made. So she shared it. So when she shares it, all of Tracy's friends on her Facebook could see this post. And because it's public, every one of her friends can see the post and actually read what's going on. If we had a private group, they wouldn't be able to see what the event actually is. So there would be no sense of Tracy even sharing it. So that's what's great about public groups, is that people outside of our group can actually see our content to get more people interested in what we're doing. A little tip I learned recently, which is shown on the right, when you're creating a post, you can type the at sign and at everyone, so tag everyone, and then you have to actually click on it for it to activate. But when you're creating a post and you do this, it will send a notification to people in your group, which is something that can only happen in groups. So I think that's great because some of your posts could get overlooked. If you post, not everyone's going to see your post. That's just kind of how Facebook works. But when you add everyone, it sends a notification to every person in your group. So they will get a notification on their phone. And so they're more likely to see your post, which I think is awesome. Facebook does have limitations on this, so don't abuse it. Mainly use it for more important things. But you can also do this within Facebook events as well. And you can do that once a day within Facebook events. So make sure you at everyone if you have something important to say.
Great
Next
tip.
slide. I also think it's useful to have a public group because if your members invite, so if someone from within your group invites someone outside of the group, or sometimes even for me, I'm on Facebook and I look at something Disney related. I love Disney. So I look at something Disney related and then Facebook says suggestions for you, this group, because you look at Facebook content on Disney. So someone could easily come across our Facebook group, and since we have a public group, they can see all of our content, see what we're all about, and it makes them more excited to join. This is kind of not a great example, but I was looking at New Orleans groups. I went there recently. And so on the right is a public group, and you could see people's posts. You could see all about it. It's more enticing to want to actually join the group. And on the left in the back is a private group. And as you can see, it's very plain. You can't see any of the posts. You have to actually join the group to see it because it's a private group. So that's a benefit of having a public group for all of us, is that people can actually see our content and actually be interested in joining and not have the pressure of having to like actually join the group to see what we're all about. And that's all.
Thank you. Great tips. I love that at everyone, because I've said that for so long that groups are one of the Facebook products that actually sends people a notification and encourages you to engage. So that's something where a lot of our Facebook page content is getting overlooked because it's subject to the algorithm in order for us to see it, versus someone getting a notification within a group that there's new content that's been posted. So
Yes.
really great feature. Are there any questions, Melanie?
Yes, we do have a couple of questions now. Lisa asked, how do you get your group to post and get involved? As the social media lead, I make 99.9% of the posts. I try to get people to post their own things, but I think everyone is so used to the page style, they forget or are hesitant to try it. And I've heard that from others as well. Can you share how you get others involved?
I'll kind of take this one. I think part of it, again, if someone does, make sure you engage with it because then it shows other people like, oh, it's okay for me to post. So make sure you engage with it if they do. I know for us at like, I don't think every relay has this, but we have relay rallies, which are like community-wide relay events that we have that the whole community is allowed to come to just hear event updates. So any relay event, really, you can always announce like, if you have any fundraisers, please make sure you post to the group. The group's open for anyone to post in. You just want to make sure people know that they're allowed to post because I feel like it's the same thing. Like some people feel hesitant to post, but maybe that's because they don't really know if they're allowed to or not. So just trying to express that they are allowed to post whenever they want will be useful.
Yeah, that's great. There's another question. I think I know this answer, but Dom, will let you take this one. If two group members are blocked from each other in general on Facebook, would their posts in the group also be blocked from each other's view?
Yes. So if you block an individual, then you don't see any of their content, group, page. If they comment on a post that you're looking at from another person and they're blocked, you would not see their comment. You won't see anything. So if they're blocked from your group, then you're not going to see any of their content or information within that group. Is that what you were thinking too, Melanie?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And they also don't know
Good for
that
now.
they're blocked. So I don't know if you all know that, but if you block someone, they don't get a notification saying that someone blocked you. So it's basically like you don't exist on Facebook anymore is all they really know. Unless someone else tells them that you're still on there and they can't see anything.
And another thing with seeing people post, and this is just something I've seen in a couple of groups that I've been involved in, if you have some real active volunteers or committee members that you can ask to post, I've seen people just organically start sharing a picture of their team and why they're involved, and that encourages others to do the same.
And I think the other, as well as, and I have a few examples later in the presentation or in our next topic, but there's if you can ask a survivor to post, just a short, bio of what their experience was, or an ELT member about why they participate and post a photo of them at relay or a relay event and tell their story. I think as you individually ask people to post and to share, I think that momentum will grow because like Brooklyn said, people will get more comfortable and they know that they can actually post within the group versus just going there to see what other people are posting and what content is. All right, so let's go, and it's a perfect segue to engaging with your community in Facebook groups. So now that our Facebook groups are set up, how often should you post within your Facebook group? And I think this is something that's a bit of trial and error, and to see how much people are interacting with your content. But the rule of thumb is we usually say 2 to 3 posts per week. So you can go to, any of those pages that I had mentioned, like your state page, the Relay for Life page, the American Cancer Society page, and you can share content from those pages to within your group. So it's not like you're always having to create a piece of content 2 to 3 times a week. You can go out there and you can find a piece of content and simply just share it within your group. And of course, make sure that you're sharing, team fundraisers and creating events and keeping people updated on the progress of the event and other fundraisers as well. So I think a lot of those are the natural pieces of content. And we do have a few examples of using a mix of content. So people aren't seeing always the same thing. And we talked a little bit earlier about featuring survivor and caregiver stories. My team, including Melanie, we do a great job of posting survivor stories and caregiver stories on our state pages. So those are an easy piece of content that you can easily share within your group. We're usually posting those every 2 weeks and boosting those throughout. It's great to post fundraising tips. We talked a little bit about team spotlights, so really recognizing your teams that are active or teams that have just signed up and putting a little shout out within your group to recognize them. Um, Event updates, of course, what's happening, if there's any team captains meetings, or if there's any rallies or any fundraisers or feeder events to your Relay for Life, definitely post event updates. Um, Polls and Q&A are a great tool within groups. You can actually create a poll and set a timeline for it, and people can answer questions about um, which of these three bands would you like to see for the opening ceremony? Or so you can definitely use polls and Q&A to get a sense as you're planning the event about what people would like and what people would like to experience. I've seen polls around, we're thinking of these three themes, which one is your favorite? So there's lots of different options and to use this feature within groups that we do not have with pages. Another great tool with groups that we did not have with pages is you can have individual group chats. So you can create different chats. So a team can have their chat that's within the group. You can have a group chat for team captains. You can have a group chat for ELT. You can create a group chat for survivors, and that's their own little private area that they can have a conversation outside of posting within the group. So these are great tool to use in creating different content and engaging with your community. And then, of course, informational posts. So just about, March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. So, posting information about what's happening in the news and with the American Cancer Society throughout is another piece of great content that you can share. Um, this is something that Brooklyn had suggested that I share with you all, is really looking at what different types of content that we can post. So we wanted to share some statistics with you that definitely photos and videos get 39% more interaction than just a plain text post. Of course, everyone likes to see a picture or watch a video. We do it all the time on our phones, so it's a great way to keep engagement up. Shorter posts get 23% more engagement. I always say shorter and sweeter. Our attention spans get shorter and shorter. So the shorter that we can make it and still get the information across, the better. And I love this too, is using emojis can increase engagement by 33%. A lot of people use emojis throughout the day in their chats with their friends and family, so it's great to use that as well on social media to encourage engagement within the group. So what is user-generated content? And this was what I was talking about with some examples, and that's really encouraging people, members within our group, to post their own content. And I wanted to give you a few examples. So the one at the left is Veronica, who did a post. She did her first lap inside. So when we had Relay First Lap, she posted 2 selfies within her group saying that she did her first lap. The second is, it was really great to see when I was looking through some content for this slide, is actually one of the ELT volunteers recognizing their staff partner, Whitney, who's pictured in the middle. So they just did a call out and a shout out to recognizing someone, one of their ACS staff partners. And then the other post is someone just introducing themselves to the group and then posting a bunch of photos that they took while they were at Relay for Life and walking the survivor lap. So that's a great, easy thing to share. And it reached a lot of people and got a lot of engagement. And everyone was happy to see her photos and to celebrate her survivorship with her within their Facebook group. The other option that you have is to go live. So Facebook Live is a great option. Whitney that you saw on the earlier slide, she did a go live with her. Um, she did a team captain and community gathering recap. So she went live, scheduled it, posted a few times within the group that she was going to go live at this time. And then everyone got a notification when then she actually went live within the group and they got the information that they may have missed at the team captain meeting. And then the other post was I thought was an interesting one was a local musician, Josh Davidson. Excuse me, he was playing at their Survivors Breakfast, and they actually live streamed one of the songs that he performed at the Survivors Breakfast and live streamed that within the Facebook group. So there's lots of different options that you can do. I've seen people do go live from, people walking the survivor's lap. So you can definitely get creative with different opportunities to go live within your group. Um, and this is something that Brooklyn alluded to earlier. It's really, really important, especially as either an admin or a moderator or an ELT member, to really try and engage with every post or comment within the group. Sometimes it's just going in, I'll go in and just even heart every comment on my latest post. And someone it gets a notification that someone liked their comment, and it really just gives them that sense of encouragement and to continue to engage with the group. So this is a really important piece of advice. And now to Brooklyn. What types of content generate the most engagement?
Yes. As kind of already mentioned earlier, user generated, so member generated content gets a lot of engagement. I think part of that is because it's your friend, like maybe it's your friend posting in the group and it's like, oh, there's my friend, I'm gonna like it. So I think member generated content does great. Remember to, as we just discussed, remember to actually like and engage with it. But besides that, I learned a lot about Facebook events this year. I kind of took the easy way out before this year, and I regret doing that. So I use Facebook events for all of our team fundraisers. Prior to this year, I would get like someone would email me their flyer or information about their fundraiser, and they would ask me to post it for them. And so I would either make a flyer for them in Canva, or I would take the flyer that they sent me and I would just post it with a caption maybe. And I think that didn't do as well as I wanted. So this year I decided to start doing events for each individual team fundraiser, and that's been wildly successful. At least I think so. I think the biggest part of it is that when you create an event within your group, there's a option shown in, so we'll quickly to create an event within your group. You first type a post in your group, create a public post, and then you click on the three little dots in the bottom right. And that will bring it, yeah, where the pointer is. And then that'll bring you to add to your post, and you could create an event in the bottom left. And then after you type in all your event information, there's this little button that says invite all group members. And this is specific to groups only. So if you create an event outside of your group and share it to the group, it doesn't work the same. So you have to create the event within the group itself and then toggle this on, invite all group members, because it's off automatically for some reason. So once you do that, every single person will be invited to this Facebook group event about an upcoming fundraiser for a team. So they will all get a notification on their phone, and they'll all see the notification within Facebook that they've been invited to an event. And whether they go to it or not is up to them, but they do get the notification, which is much more likely that they'll actually see the event as opposed to you just posting the flyer on your page. And so I think this is a great tip that we've been using, and it's been working relatively well. You also get a second notification right before the event. So a second notification gets sent to all the people saying that we're invited within your group, saying, oh, the event's coming up, don't forget you were invited. So I think it's a great way, as opposed to just posting flyers about fundraisers. Let's see, next slide, please.
Brooklyn, before we go on, that view you were just talking about, was that in the is that in desktop or mobile?
desktop. That's
Okay.
kind of what I do it from when I'm
Okay.
working. Yeah. Okay. This slide I wanted to point out, and I think someone in the chat mentioned this, Karen. Yeah, Karen. After you create your event, or even if someone posts something that's important within your group, but specifically to events, after you create an event, this automatically comes up, and on the right hand panel, it'll say pin events to groups featured section. And I always click that. So it'll automatically, when you go back to your homepage of your group, the event that you just created within your group is pinned to the top, so that anyone who goes to the, I don't know if it's on mobile view, but at least anyone who goes to the desktop view of your Facebook group will see the event pinned to the top, and that gets more people to see it as opposed to having to scroll down to find things. So that's just a handy little tip there. And aside from creating events for fundraisers as a great means for engagement, I also had success with polls. I should probably do more of them, but we do have a poll at the beginning of every year-ish, where we come up with maybe 3 relay themes for the year. And then we kind of decide, well, like we narrow it down to those 3 and then create a poll in the Facebook group asking people which theme they would like to see at Relay this year, because you have to remember it's as much their event as it is ours, and this gets people excited. They get to make a decision for the relay that they're involved in. So I think it's a great thing to do, and a lot of people vote in it, and it gets high engagement. So it's a great type of post to make. And then my final tip for engagement is to tell stories. Stories sell, facts are boring, especially when you're on social media to be entertained and not just read a bunch of facts. That's why people scroll through social media. So a great storytelling idea would be to tell how great a fundraiser did, a team fundraiser, how fun it was, how many people showed up, how great the entertainment was, how much money it raised. Successful stories sell. It's encouraging for others. If someone sees that a fundraiser did really well and they saw the story about it in a post, they might be encouraged to do their own fundraiser. And people engage with those because it's just kind of cool to see what other people are doing and how successful things are going for others. And then a second storytelling idea, it was kind of already touched on, but why I relay is a really good one. I did this once in college, and one of my posts like blew up and it reached like 4,000 people or something crazy, because it was some girl in our ELT. She wrote her why I relay story, and everyone was sharing it, and then her friends of friends were sharing it, and so everyone was sharing it because, again, you're in a public group, so once it's shared, more people can see it. So why I relay stories do really well. They're heart touching, and adding a picture to those posts also make it do well, better engagement, because it's more visually appealing to see, like maybe who you relay for or the person that the post is about. So yeah, those are my pointers on post engagement.
Thanks, Brooklyn. Are there any questions in the chat that we can answer right now?
Yeah, we have a few, and I know it's 7:40 and people are ready to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, perhaps.
No,
I'm wearing my green. This is my celebration and partying with all of you. Patricia said when you were talking about chats, she discourages chats because there are too many hackers. She wants to know if others are seeing that. Is there a setting that could be adjusted? Do you have tips for how to make chats effective without drawing spammers?
Yeah, so in order for someone to be in the chat, they would have to be a member of the group. So the chats aren't open to just anyone. They are only open to group members. So if it's a hacker and or a spammer that's in the group, then they can just be moderated and removed from the group, and that should remove them from any chat that they're in as well. And just, we're blocking spam. There are admin controls that you can change that kind of reduces the amount of spammers that may join your group. But it's really based on an individual basis, because some groups don't have spam issues, so we really haven't set those up. So it's on a So reach out to your staff partner if you need help with setting up those admin controls, but please don't make your group private.
Sue Ann commented, it seems shared posts with photos or videos get fewer views than originals. Do others find this too? Is there a preferred method we should pay attention to?
Yeah, it's kind of an always moving target with the Facebook algorithm is what basically manages how much a piece of shared content is going to get versus original content. So typically original content does get more attention within the algorithm. But that can change depending on what Facebook is altering with the algorithm at any one point in time. So it's always a moving target and it could change from hour to hour, day to day. But typically, yes, original content does get more engagement than shared content, but shared content still gets engagement. You can still pin it to the top of your group. And it's still valuable information.
Patricia also commented, and Elizabeth is going to respond to this, but in case others have the same question, she wants to know if we're able to change the automatic welcome post. Elizabeth said she can help with that. So if others are wanting to do that, I'm guessing reach out to your staff partner.
Yeah. So we did a generic welcome post, just to welcome new members to the group, and it basically was to send everyone a copy of those rules that we highlighted earlier. But you can change that if you would like. It's very easy within the settings, but definitely reach out to your staff partner and we can help you make those adjustments.
And this also looks like a setting issue. Patricia also commented while you were talking about the chats. I believe they are not in the group. So if people shouldn't be able to chat if they're not in the group, that may be a setting adjustment that we need to look at. So again, reach out to your staff partner on that.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen in my experience with chats, they shouldn't be allowed to be in the chat if they're not a member of the group. But
Yeah, we may
it
need to
might
just
be, and
revisit
it
that
might
on
be
a couple
something
of
that,
groups.
like I said, Meta and Facebook are changing things so quickly, especially with groups, since they're like a fairly new product. When groups were launched, what we're looking at now is very, very different. So it could be something that is changing by the minute, and but to my knowledge, you should be a member of the group to be a member of any of the group's chats. All right, so let's go. I know we have a few more minutes left, and I'm going to try and go through our last few slides very quickly. We're going to talk quickly about growing your membership. So I saw a few comments in the chat about really trying to grow the membership. So here's a few strategies to really get people to join the group. Number one, a big thing is that personal invitation. So just like we're inviting people to join Relay for Life, make sure that you're reaching out to people individually, directly when someone registers for Relay. If you know they're a survivor, if you know they're a caregiver, if you know they may be interested in forming a team, ask them to join the Facebook group. Definitely ask team captains to invite their teams as they recruit their teams to join the groups. It's really easy to cross promote as you're sending out event emails, and then also on your personal social media accounts. So you can actually share the actual group to your personal Facebook, any of your other social media channels, and encourage people. Say, hey, I'm a team captain at the Relay for Life, and would you like to join the group and learn more about it? And you can and promote on your social media accounts. I think Brooklyn's going to talk about this in a few minutes, but you can definitely use flyers, and you can create a QR code within Facebook that links to your Facebook group, and put that on. You can download a PNG version of that QR code, and you can print it on flyers, you can print it on postcards, and put it up all over your event. If you want to have a few signs around the walking track encouraging people as they're taking their laps to join your Facebook group. So those are some great tips to definitely increase your membership. So Brooklyn, how has your ELT encouraged new members to join your group?
To avoid being repetitive for time, I think one of our things that we do, this is a great one. I forgot about this slide. We have on our Relay website I would like to say it's under the event announcements section. We added the Join Relay for Life of Southampton Roads Facebook group for easy access to fundraisers and current event information. And the URL was embedded in there so that when anyone clicks it, it automatically brings them to Facebook and to that Facebook group. So that is an easy way to get more people to join our Facebook group. If they're already on our website, they're likely going to join our group if they're interested in updates. Another way, it's very simple. I actually thought of this while I was making this presentation. A simple way to get people to join your page is honestly just inviting people to join. It's super simple. You just hit the invite button at the top of the group. Again, this is desktop view, and then invite Facebook friends. And then on the next one, all you do is check what friends you want to invite and hit send invites. And it's super simple, but my idea that I came up with is maybe you encourage everyone, you make a post and say, encourage everyone to invite 5 of their Facebook friends who they maybe talked about Relay to before, maybe one of their coworkers who likes volunteering, maybe a small business who might be that they know the owner of that could be a cool sponsor. So maybe make a challenge that everyone should invite 5 people to the Facebook group, and from there, maybe everyone who does, if they show proof, you can enter them into a raffle and then pick one winner from that raffle, just as an encouragement to make people invite others to join our group. I thought that was kind of a neat idea. And next slide, please. And then Dom already mentioned this. I also just found this out when I was scrolling through my Facebook page. I didn't know that there was already a QR code for me. So when you go to that same invite button, there's a place that you could find your group QR code that Facebook automatically generates for you. And I thought this would be cool to add to flyers, handouts, maybe at a Relay event or a Relay team fundraiser. You can have a flyer there with the QR code and ask people when they're coming in and signing up, like, hey, have you joined our Facebook group? It's easy, just scan this QR code. So I thought that was a really cool thing that Facebook does for us, just a nice little tool to use.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I love the QR code feature too. So let's talk quickly about measuring success. It's, how do we know that our Facebook group is working? And there are some great insights that you can look at very easily. You can definitely dig deeper within the insights analytics function of groups, but just some basic ones to look at is, how many active members does the group have? You can look at other groups. Since we all have public groups, you can look at what other groups are in the area and what how many members they have, and really, do a competition or try and get as many active members as you can. Post engagement. So that is really which type of posts are getting the most reactions or comments. Really easy to look at. You can see if it's, that user generated content, if it's events, if it's photos, if it's videos, if it's shared posts. So look at what people are engaging with, and continue posting that type of content, or make that a priority to post that type of content to get more engagement. And of course, we just talked about new member growth. So make sure that, as people are registering and coming to your event, that your Facebook group is also increasing in membership with new members. There may be a disconnect that people don't know that the group exists or don't know how to join the group if you're getting closer to your event and your membership isn't increasing. So a couple of best practices, of course, and we've talked about this throughout tonight, is keep content fresh, keep content very relevant and engaging. Definitely recognize members for their involvement. recognizing survivors, team captains, and recognizing people for sharing content within the group or asking questions. And I talked about this earlier, adjust content based on engagement. So if something isn't working, definitely try a new approach. So this is our last slide before Q&A. So Brooklyn, do you have any best practices on managing, promoting, and engaging your group?
Yes. First, I just kind of want to talk very quickly about Facebook's algorithm. It was kind of already touched on, but essentially the greater engagement a post gets, the more likely Facebook is going to say, hey, people like this post. I'm going to show it to people when I'm scrolling through show it to people who are scrolling through Facebook who maybe follow this group. So again, just really engage with posts that are within your group, just reminding ELT, even at your meetings, to interact with these posts. It could really boost how well your posts actually perform and how many people actually come across them when they're scrolling through Facebook. What do I have here? I also want to, oh yeah. So I want to mention also that for me, managing Facebook groups have been daunting, but they're less scary now when I started scheduling my posts in advance. Sometimes I'm reached out by like 5 or 6 different teams and they're like, can you please post my fundraiser? And they're all like overlapping fundraisers. And I feel like I'm just spending a lot of time confused. I don't know, it's this whole thing, but I found it a lot easier to schedule my posts. So again, I make my events in Facebook within the group. And then all you have to do once you make the event is you hit the little share button on step 1, that little share arrow icon. And then make sure after that you click group. You don't want to share to your personal page. I mean, of course you can, but that's not the point of this. So share to the group. And once you click your group, type the content and then hit that little calendar button at the bottom right to schedule your post. And for me, I like to schedule 3 posts per Facebook fundraising events for the teams. I like to make one 2 weeks in advance, 1 week in advance, and then the day before. And you also have to remember that people are not on Facebook during the workday, or they shouldn't be. So make sure you schedule your posts that you're going to do for all these Facebook groups or post ideas that you have. Make sure you schedule them for around 6:30, maybe early evening when people are more likely to be on Facebook to actually see your content. Things posted in the middle of the day, they typically get passed by and they don't show up later in the day when you're scrolling through Facebook. So yeah, I like to post like 3 things per event and pre-schedule them. It's a lot less stress on me. It makes it, I don't have to think about the event ever again. I just have to post them, pre-schedule them, and then I'm kind of done. And if you do 3, it keeps it on top of people's minds because maybe they don't see post 1 about this event, but maybe they see post 2. So having 3 posts about the events that you pre-schedule, I think is an excellent thing to add to this presentation. And then, oh, this last slide is just showing you on the menu of this is the desktop view again. On the menu on the left-hand side, you can see your scheduled posts that you have scheduled if you're a Facebook admin. And then you just click that and you could see all your posts that you have scheduled if you ever need to keep track of it. Because sometimes I accidentally schedule posts for the same day at the same time, and that's probably not the best because you want to make sure your stuff's spread out. And that will be all.
Thank you. So I know we're a little bit over. Do we have time for any last questions?
I just see one question that really
Okay.
hasn't been addressed, and Brooklyn responded, and I think she's right. But just to double check with you, with my personal Facebook, I can share to Instagram automatically. Can we do this with the group? That is not a feature at this time, correct?
No, that's not currently a feature to post to Instagram from within a group. It may be something, like I said, there's always, functionality that's changing and getting updated. So that may be something that will happen in the future, but you would have to take the content that you're posting within your group and then post it to your Instagram separately within the native app versus doing it both at the same time.
I don't see any other questions. There are good tips in there, so I would encourage people to just kind of browse and see the tips that you all are sharing with each other.
Yeah.
But I don't see any of the other questions. And if we missed them, I'm sorry, reach out to your staff partner and we'll get back to you.
Yeah. And I'm available, or reach out to ADT or me, and I'm happy to answer. And then I just wanted to share this, just, thank you all for taking the time to join with us today. Facebook groups really are one of the best tools that we have to engage and inspire and support our mission. The more active and engaging your group is, the more connected your relay community will feel. So thank you all for your dedication, and we can't wait to see what you all do with your groups. So have a great night. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and thanks for joining again. And thanks, Brooklyn, for joining the call and offering your expertise as well.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. Thanks. It was very nice meeting you all.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye, everybody.